watch the movie and then they stay up late and then they're cranky getting up to run.
Sounds like a party.
Yep, and it happens every year.
And when is the mayor's dinner usually?
Right after the
It's
parade.
right after the parade, like
And
at
that's-
7 o'clock,
And that's for
7:30.
every, like, last
Yes.
year when I went, I mean, I'm like, I had no idea what the mayor's dinner was.
Yeah.
Like in Salem, the mayor's dinner is if you're a certain age or over, it's free and you go and that's, you know what I mean? So that's the only one I knew about and I was like,
And we need
how
to
could
just,
I can go?
you just need to get that committee together, poll some family, friends, the council certainly. Let's come up with some ideas, give us a basic concept, what is it? Yeah, I don't think we want a lot of vendors. We need to, if we're gonna have a car show, it needs to be a city's car show. And it can't just be, not to be negative, but last time it was someone else's car show. And our city celebration was, happened to be the I can't think of the word now,
The venue.
the venue for it. And we can't do that. So we've gotta figure that one
Do
out.
we have to do the car show?
We do not. They've
Will there
they've
be
had
anger?
They've had a helicopter drop ping pong balls that had little numbers on them, and the kids turned those in. And if they found the right one, they owned the helicopter, so.
Well, fever going, oh yeah.
So, and Trish, so you know, like, we have stored here a bunch of like, kind of arcade type games, and we had the scouts this fall, there was a scout troop that came in and repainted them all, and
And
redid them.
we can make some more.
And, so we already have a bunch of those,
We rented last
Well,
time
last-
when we don't need to rent.
yeah, we don't need to rent, we have them all here.
Well, that was the
Or a
thing
bunch of
last
them,
year, my
so-
kids were disappointed there weren't games, there was just more bounce house. They wanted to win little
Prizes.
prizes. Yeah.
Right.
But the tickets were like 20 for $1, something insanely cheap, so it was not the years before.
Yeah,
And it should be like that.
okay.
So is there any, so you suggested a couple of members of the fire department. Are there anybody else that we'd like to have her consider on the committee?
I've already talked with, well, there's two different individuals. Who was it that helped us do the fun run last year?
The fun
Who
run?
was in charge of it?
Ashby.
Who was that?
Ashby.
Oh, that's right. And there's another individual that came to me 2 weeks ago and says, if you want, I'll run that for you. So between the two of them, and they're both in my ward, I mean, I
Okay.
know them both well, that would be helpful if you need that kind of
Do
help.
we need shirts? Do we
Marcy
need-
Jesse did the parade
Marcy
last
did.
year.
She
Had
wants to do
questions
that
about
again.
the parade.
Cause I
She did
know,
that
like,
last year.
I know the owners own Endurance Athletics, and I already asked him, he's like, yeah, we would totally donate prizes, whatever you want, you
That's the
know?
kind of thing. Last year, Melissa Prince is the one who's in charge, in the last 3 years, and she is a master at going out and getting donations. We just need to, decide, is that some way we want to still involve her or not? And I don't know what her feeling would be. We just have to redirect how we're going to do things,
Okay.
so that,
Yeah, but the more donations and stuff we can get to
Yeah,
run things,
sure.
the better, because then that's less cost out of the
Well, the
city. And the more
fire-
things that we can do for
Provide
free
for
for the
this.
residents.
So like the fireman's breakfast, people pay for that?
yes.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
a fun-
fundraiser the fire department
That's what I was gonna
does
ask, so
to
does the fire
buy,
department makes the money off of that?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Last
I
year,
was just
last
asking.
year without the donations that we got ahead of time, we wouldn't have made it. Because
So
the
is that
attendance was
usually
up.
right after the fun run, you come in and eat?
The attendance was down so bad, and it was an
It was across the
incredibly
board.
hot day,
Oh,
it was a tough one last year.
hot
We-
last year.
That's something we can't
Yeah,
plan around. Okay, and then so we'll come back with some ideas.
Okay.
Royce can visit with you about how much is in the budget this year, and you can look at that and see if we need to increase that. Can we maintain that? Can we do it for less? It's gonna depend on donations, those kinds of things,
which
so,
we can get, that's,
let's see what we can do.
And Trish, way back when, they used to have like 3-on-3 tournaments, golf
That's-
tournaments, racquetball tournaments for residents.
Mhm.
You had to be a resident, sign up, and there's like a really nominal fee, and they just put brackets in there. So I don't know if that's something you
Bragging
want to.
rights, no.
yeah.
Yeah, bragging rights, right? But that's kind of the fun stuff that I think, I don't know, people used to love
Mhm.
Okay,
in the city. So just an option.
yes, one last one.
Another thing when I first came that I enjoyed going to and I saw a big crowd at is that they had kind of a craft show or a handiwork show where people could bring things that they had made and just put them on display. And they had little ribbons, blue ribbons for, kind of like you go down to the best tomato, the best flower.
Yeah, like the
best-
county fair
A
type.
county fair type of a feel. There was also the handmade knitted, crocheted, quilting, anything like that. And when I first arrived, there was quite a bit of participation in that.
We've also had themes from year to year. 2 years ago, we honored our veterans, and that was a very positive thing. So we can look at that as well, some kind of a theme to.
Yeah, and we talked about last year, like putting together maybe like when we did flag raising, having like a little children's choir, sing a couple like patriotic songs or,
That brings moms and dads in,
I know, it's true.
anyways,
and grandparents. Okay, let's keep moving.
so just ideas.
All right, thank you. Interlocal agreement discussion. All of you have had possibly a chance to look at this and think about it. The interlocal agreement, and you got it up here. Even though it comes across as if it is there's some portions of it seem to suggest, boy, this is hard and fast, it's still so nebulous. There's, how do you define the area that is commonly known as? You know, that
Yeah.
gets tough.
Well, I didn't even know if we have a definition of open space.
Yeah.
I mean,
Open space is just restricted to development. That's basically what that would mean, but, anyway, we just, quite frankly, I don't see that there's a whole lot here that is going to be a major issue for us right now unless someone decided they wanted to annex one of these areas, commonly known as, and
The only hard lines seem like 1600. East of 1600 is devoted to Elk Ridge, west of 1600 is devoted to Payson. I mean, that was like the only really definitive.
that was, yeah.
And then that we just can't ever annex unless we terminate the agreement, which we can if both parties agree to.
Yes,
It's a clause in there. So,
yes.
I mean, that really seemed to me like the only definitive thing. Other than that, we can annex if both parties agree or, I mean,
So, what's south of Gladstone, like what, is that the road going up to it?
That's then golf course.
So,
That's up Payson Canyon.
okay,
Where they're developing now.
I needed a map, like this is so, I tried to figure stuff out and I could not. So so driving on that road to Gladstand, you know what I mean, on either side of the road, before you hit the gate, is that included in this or no? Cause I couldn't understand.
No,
that's
that's
already
Elk
in
Ridge.
Payson.
that's it.
Well,
Yeah, that's
Parts
already
of
in
this side,
Payson.
yeah.
Yeah, when you hit the gate, that takes you to Payson.
Well,
This
before the
side
gate is
is Elk
considered
Ridge.
Payson, because my dad owns that land.
There may be a couple of lots in there, but
Yeah,
yeah, but
like
it
10
is
acres of
roughly
it is
in that
Payson.
area.
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't in there and that if it, you know what I mean, cause he
Yeah,
wants
what-
to develop that.
What they don't want to do is see on the south side any
Okay.
development,
Okay,
back up in 4 Bay area.
okay.
But
whether those lots would
That's-
be part of this is very questionable.
it really
Well,
is.
that's what, and
Based
then,
on the agreement.
when they signed the agreement in 2005,
Yeah.
5 was it?
Mhm.
Yeah, 2005.
do we just have to resign it every? like,
No,
if
No,
it's-
it's good for 50 years, so it's good till
If I got it to
2055.
us, I mean, you know what I
No.
mean, I was like, what?
As good as it is, it's good for 50 years, yes.
This document has existed since 2005, but it kind of did a disappearing act for about 10 years.
Okay.
It just resurfaced because there's been a change in
Well, plus the leadership,
leadership.
west of 1600 south and east of 1600 west.
The 1600 is the county address.
Yeah.
But one says west and one says south.
Yeah, west would be the annexation area for Payson, east is for Elk Ridge, and that's what
See,
they're trying to
1600
suggest.
south.
Yeah.
Payson would be about Goose Nest.
Is that
If
six?
it was in Payson's.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's west of 1600 south and east of 1600 west.
Yeah, it's
It's
it
like,
is not written well.
it's terrible.
Well,
So,
Plus, have we ever established the land use plan and development pattern?
this is the closest thing that we have done.
It's like, silence.
Welcome to the council.
But one of the things that one of the things that was brought up in this, that Nelson, when he first brought it up, was relative to a tax base. There is a statement in here that indicates that there could be a mutual benefit between the two cities if in that Haskellville area, commercial development would take place. But there is nothing to say what that development is going to be. So for lack of a better word, this isn't worth much to us.
Well, it's a starting point is what
It
it
is a
is.
starting point only, and we need to decide what we want to do. I have been approached by other residents who live west of 1600
Yeah.
West, Elkridge Drive, who would be in the Payson annexation area, who would rather not annex there, but rather would be interested in Elkridge. But on the other hand, this interlocal agreement is intended to be cooperative in that we are mutually taking care of each other. And I don't want to be exclusive of that concept. But if a resident owns property in that area, even such as your father, and he wants to do something with it, that becomes their property rights. And they have at least the opportunity to go to the county where they currently reside, they're not in either city, and make that request. So,
I mean, what's the benefit if we do this?
If
We
do
may
what?
be able
If we
to,
sign it?
no,
It's already signed,
It's
it's the
already signed.
contract
This
in
is a
place,
done
this
deal.
was signed 10
This
years
is
ago.
already done.
Yeah,
It's
this
done.
is a done deal.
2005.
and both the mayors
So
signed
why
that
are we-
day.
Okay. So why are we going over it now?
So
That-
the way this is written, it gives us an opportunity to sit down with Payson
Again,
again,
Okay.
reaffirm, revise, clarify, because clearly
Yeah.
it's lacking. In fact, I noticed that Payson's recorder signed it, but no one from Elk Ridge did, so it's almost like the two mayors got together and said, well, here,
yeah,
on a handshake, let's go ahead
Mayor
and sign
Fritz
it.
signed it, but it was attested by their recorder.
Yes. And,
Which is, that still makes it a legal document.
oh, it
That's
sure
not a big
does,
deal.
but I think that based on conversations that I've had with Payson, if we're willing, they're willing to sit down and see if we can't figure something out, maybe there might be an opportunity for us to get ground within our city that could provide a better tax base than what we currently have. And I think that's really the main thing, that and just cleaning up the lines between the cities.
Anytime that we would annex property, it could bring a tax base to us,
Mhm.
but it also creates the liability of providing service for that annexation area.
Mhm.
So we have to kind of weigh that out. But again, if it's their private property and they can show cause and they're willing to do what they need to, we can't necessarily say you can't do this.
Mhm.
This is good to know for our master plan, as we're trying to
Yeah.
figure out
And that's
Elk
where
Ridge as a whole.
land use and all this plays
Yes.
into it. The other thing too is I know in talking with one of our county commissioners, the county would like to see the county shrink in terms of what's in the county, so
Yes.
they're pushing too. I mean, we're gonna be having the same types of discussions between us and Woodland Hills in a while as well.
Yeah.
'Cause there's areas that aren't in either community that the county's zoning ordinances are a lot looser than either one of our communities. And
So it seems like after we've gone through that, general, make sure that we understand, 'cause I agree with you, we wanna be proactive, right?
I think we need to be
Far more
proactive.
proactive, right?
Proactive in terms of making sure what our decisions are going to be
Yes.
are mutually beneficial and certainly not going to be a negativity to our city. We'll take care of us first, not
Right, well, that's what I mean, so we'll look at our general plan and have an understanding of where that goes, and then I think we need to reengage,
yes.
right? Between us and Payson and get
And
this, whatever it turns out to
And
be.
Salem, and the county.
Well, eventually, yeah, absolutely. Because Salem is a whole nother chunk that's not even in Woodland Hills, we don't even.
Yeah.
Right?
They have
But
already asked.
let's start with Payson, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Woodland Hills has asked for a realignment of some boundaries between us, and we'll just have to see. that's another longer discussion. Okay, let's move on.
Sorry,
Yes. No,
one thing I
please.
like is to know where we're gonna go with this next, right?
I think the next is, we look at the master plan, just like you
Okay.
suggested. Let's get that fixed in our head, in our minds.
Okay.
Let's take it to this meeting. Our next meeting is going to be a long one,
Right,
and where we will discuss master plan.
okay.
And then once we know what we want, then
that
we'll set up
allows
a
us-
meeting.
More of a jumping off.
I mean, I'd like to see us revisit this again sometime, maybe March, something like that, when we've got a good handle on that plan. I don't wanna just shelf this and then not get back to it till some other time. So can we
Yeah.
put a date to this where we're gonna at least revisit it and make sure it stays
We
active?
can certainly put it on a March, late March. We'd need at least a late March.
Okay, that would work. I mean, even if we just address it, said we still need more time,
Yeah.
at least we know it's not buried, right?
Okay. So Melanie's got that noted for us. Okay, thank you. The last thing of our city council work session, we're gonna turn the time over to Curtis Roberts, our financial advisor and Aggie fan extraordinaire.
I find it dangerous.
You got a lot of Aggies here
That's good.
in town. Lots of them.
That's good.
So he's gonna go over our financial and, there'll be a financial and audit presentation, if you would, Curtis.
Right. So a lot of you, well, 2 of you know me, 2 of you, I'm introducing myself for the first time. Just by a little bit of background for me. My background is, I'm a CPA, Certified Public Accountant. A lot of experience with government units, preparing their financial statements, understanding how government finances run, advising cities. So that's where my area of expertise really comes from. I actually began my career in the state auditor's office. So a lot of what they're doing up there, I already understand. And so these financial statements are a product of what we do here at the city. It's a culmination of efforts. The hard part is it takes a lot to get this little packet ready and then get it audited. Just so I get to know a little bit. How many of you have ever dealt with financial statements in any organization where you've actually been a part of the preparation or part of managing a budget, part of?
Just the Ellis Family Inc. That's all I have.
Okay, so you probably don't know hardly anything about a government financial statement then. I'm gonna kind of jump to that conclusion. Understanding a financial statement takes a little bit of effort just in and of itself. Understanding a government financial statement just adds a whole bunch of complexity to that. We're gonna take some time later on and I'm gonna try and introduce you to some terms so we can share some commonality, so we can talk and try and establish a baseline. Because there's terms I'm going to use that if I just start throwing them out, you're going to be like going, I have no idea what you're even talking about. It's going to sound kind of like that interlocal agreement and be all foggy and unclear, and that's not what we're striving for here. We want to hit some clarity. So, with that, this bound packet is the financial statements of the city. Now this dates back to June 30th, 2000. So the city runs on what's called a fiscal year end, July 1 to June 30th. So everything, and that's defined by state law. You don't have a choice in that. State says run this way, so we run that way. So you adopt a budget in June to run for the next year, starting July 1, it runs through. You're already operating in the fiscal year 2016 budget. What we're going to talk about is what happened in the fiscal year 2015 budget. I'm going to kind of give you a feel for what happened, where things went, and then from there we'll launch back into some terms when I do the training. But one of the key things I want to note is the city had a good year and a bad year all in the same way. And everybody wonders, well, how is that possible? Well, the fact of the matter is the city does not have one business unit. A lot of you are familiar with businesses, and many small businesses have one business unit, one business focus. They focus